Mr. Burger, Chapter 2. Ian was enjoying a lunch break, to a certain extent. He didn't frequently eat fast food, and typically packed a sandwich or some leftover home cooking. Frank would jokingly berate him for not taking advantage of the best part of the job, a free meal once a day. Ian always politely declined, but today he had overslept and forgotten to make anything. Oh well, he thought. One cigarette isn't going to kill me, and one of these things isn't going to kill me either. Ian was also taking part in his other hobby while eating, drawing. He didn't quite consider himself an artist, but he carried a small sketchbook and pen with him to doodle. It eased his mind and brought him peace in a very hectic workplace. He was finishing up a quick sketch of Cody holding an oversized spatula, with a small caption reading, "Overcompensating?" He chuckled a bit and closed the book. He reached over for the burger. As he took a bite, he remembered why people loved this place. If he was blindfolded, he wouldn't be able to tell the difference. This stuff was good. Maybe he'd forget to pack a lunch more often, he thought. As he dived into the basket for a French fry, he inspected the patty. He took note of one bit that was a bit more off-color than the rest of it, and plucked it out with his free hand. It looked like a bean, probably unprocessed from the factory. He gingerly placed it on a napkin next, taking note of the familiar translucent glint of the cooked product. The incident from his first day was coming to mind. He hadn't seen those colors from the oil again, and had basically rationalized it as stress from his first day. So far, the new job had been great. Hanging out and working with Cody was always fun, and one of the bonuses was being able to shoot the shit with Molly, who became an unfathomable source of sarcastic wit whenever there weren't customers in shop, the term typically called out to ensure a professional work environment when necessary. Frank wasn't a bad boss either. He tended to let his employees work on their own, waiting to be called for assistance when something wasn't known, wasn't working, or if a customer seemed upset. Ian left the break room begrudgingly and strolled over to the delivery counter. Frank was there on the phone with someone. He looked up at the POS screen and saw that, unfortunately, Ian's next stop was one of those upset customers. After he arrived the first time, the guy didn't answer either door, and any calls made to the number went directly to voicemail. Carl Ruckman, as he had introduced himself over the store phone, was incredibly disappointed with the delivery guy, as he had been inside and not near his phone. When Frank hung up the phone, he comped the guy's meal, sent it to the line to be made fresh again with some extra fries and a larger drink. Ian was a little fumed over the delivery, and the fact that Carl had already ordered 3 burgers and a large fry. The guy probably didn't need any more food. That wasn't Ian's place to judge, though. He was more mad that the guy probably wasn't going to tip, not to mention that it was dark now, and having seen the place in the daytime, he sure as hell didn't want to go back at night. Frank gave him a pat on the shoulder and said, "You can't please everybody all the time. I'll make sure this is your last one for the night." Ian shrugged it off and waved nonchalantly behind him as he trudged back out the door. As Ian pulled into the driveway of what you could describe as a house, he noticed a few things. First, the mobile home looked like it hadn't been mobile in ages, seeming to grow new forms of life in every fold of its yellowing vinyl siding. Second, it looked like they might have a raccoon problem. 2 of the trash cans outside had been toppled, their contents spewed about on the driveway, a veritable buffet for the fuzzy little bastards. Third, someone was indeed home. The door to the side, covered by a dark green awning, was laid open, the lights on inside, assumedly to signal Ian to enter through that door. As he walked up, he tread carefully around the garbage, almost as if it were a minefield. Ian knocked on the screen door. "Unreal here. Anybody home?" Silence, save for the sound of a TV rattling on in another room. "Carl? Mr. Ruckman, I'm back with your delivery." As Ian looked inside, he saw a small hutch with several decorative plates. Next to that was a coat rack. A tan work jacket adorned the center, lopsided. He couldn't really see inside before. The previously unopened door blocked most of his view. Past the entryway, he heard some sort of appliance humming. Ian guessed the kitchen was past that point. Once again, he reached up to rap a few times on the screen door. Ian's fist stopped a centimeter short of the door. Oh, hell no. He already hated this situation, and that noise certainly didn't help his mood toward it. Mr. Ruckman? He stammered, hoping he had just woken the guy up. Came the voice again. It followed up in a huffed tone. Come in. Ian really didn't want to, but considered the possibility that this guy may be disabled in some way. When his aunt was hooked up to an oxygen machine, she didn't sound all that different from this guy. On entering the house, Ian could barely hold back his gag reflex. The stench was absolutely unbearable. The combination of cat urine, rotting food, and some other unidentifiable odor akin to mothballs was enough to peel the wallpaper off, which, upon observation, seemed to be already in process. As he stepped into the kitchen, his feet were greeted by bags. Hundreds and hundreds of grocery bags, filled with empty wrappers, cardboard containers from any number of fast food places, and God knows what else. He looked up to the counters and saw more of the same. Ian had seen enough, but a beckoning voice in the kitchen meant he had to see more. In here, kid. The man was a mountain of flesh, engorged with what presumably now littered the floor. He had seen a number of overweight people before, but this was different. He seemed pale, his eyes sunken. Whatever this guy was doing to himself, it wasn't healthy. Ian timidly stepped over a couple bags to drop the man's delivery off. As he set the bag down, Carl slapped the table. Why didn't you come in the first time? Ian took a moment to reply, but something skittered on the other side of the room, knocking a bag off the counter and rustling the others. Precious, calm down, it's just a delivery guy, the man boomed. Must be the cat, Ian thought, and he responded steadily. I knocked the first time, man, and when I called, it said the number was disconnected. I must have caught you while you were in the bathroom or something. Mr. Ruckman chuckled and pulled the bag over. Tips on a card, you're good, get on out. Ian nodded and began to turn, but bumped into a chair, accidentally knocking over a bottle on the kitchen table. He quickly leaned down and extended his hand to catch it, succeeding. From over the table, Carl remarked, Good catch. Ian couldn't reply. He was too busy staring at all the blood. The floor underneath the table was covered in small pools of blood, tinged with a strange, oily color he swore he had seen before. But at the moment, he wasn't really thinking about, admittedly. The adrenaline was causing his mind to race, thinking of possible explanations. You all right, kid? Came Carl's gurgling voice from the chair, scooting back from the table. As Ian looked up at the noise, his mind struggled to take stock of what he was seeing under the table. The man's gut was open. Not cut, not burst, just open. Almost surgical in appearance. There were even small pockmarks along the wound, like it had been done before, and split open again. Ian immediately began to battle his gag reflex again, but then he saw what was behind the man. And it was most definitely not a cat. Ian bumped the table again, this time with his head, as he quickly turned the door. He briskly walked back to the entryway and fumbled with the door handle. Carl was still getting up from his chair, struggling with his immense weight. Look, I know it's a mess, but you don't have to be a dick about it. Ian was absolutely uncaring towards Carl's living situation. He wanted out. He finally got the door open and dashed out into the driveway, nearly tripping over the garbage cans. He got over to his car and threw the door open. As fast as he could, he turned the engine over, and as he was doing so, reached for his phone. He dialed 911 and put the car in reverse. He was panicking, but rightfully so. He couldn't explain what he had just seen, and was having difficulty trying to figure out how to parse it to an operator. 911, can we have the address of your emergency? Ian responded as smoothly and calmly as he could to the woman as he put the car in reverse. 315 Plateau Avenue, the trailer park off the 34 highway in Owenco. There's a guy here who's got a hole in his gut, Carl Ruckman. He's still walking around. Carl hadn't made it out to the driveway yet, but Ian was getting nervous. He began to accelerate backwards. Sir, came the woman's voice on the other end. If this is a prank, Ian was quick to interrupt. Ma'am, this is not a prank. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. It looks like he's had some kind of procedure done on his belly and it's split open or something. Send EMS out there immediately. I'm just a delivery guy. He hung up quickly, and as he turned his car back out to the road, he put the stick back in drive. He peered over at the house. The garbage can fell over and began to roll around. And considering what he saw before, he realized what definitely was not a cat was also definitely not a raccoon. As he accelerated away, he tried to calm himself down by breathing slowly, in through the nose and out through the mouth. He got through about 6 rounds of this before he realized it wasn't going to work. He resigned himself to driving a bit faster than normal to concentrate on the road. A hot minute later, he whipped back into his normal spot at the back of Unreal's lot. He nearly took the car door off with his exit and quickly slammed it shut as he darted for the back door. Jim was there, finishing up a delivery of fresh tomatoes and lettuce. Ian sidestepped around him quickly, Jim remarking, "Where's the fire, kiddo?" Ian couldn't respond. He knew what he had to do. He nearly crashed into the break room door, throwing it open to slam against the back wall, Frank giving a yelp in his office on the other side. Ian was back at his seat from earlier, immediately flipping to a fresh page of his sketchbook. He fumbled around for his pen, but one hit him in the face before he could find it. "Cocaine's a hell of a drug, bucko." Molly was downing a basket of fries over by the television. Ian quickly muttered, "Thanks, Moll. I don't know where I put—" He quickly realized that the pen she threw at him was his own. Ian gave a knowing glare at her as he began to sketch down what he saw. He'd done it a few times before for class, providing detailed diagrams of the animals and creatures he was reporting on for assignments. It had gotten him a few passing grades, but now it was for his own sanity. He began with the body, almost like a flea in shape, but bigger in the rear and abdomen. He didn't get a good look at the head, but he added what he thought would probably be there. The most important thing to get down were the legs. 6 of them, all jointed in the wrong direction for something that size. Hairy. Unsettling. He finished quickly. It was certainly not a sketch worthy of Darwin's notes, but it served its purpose. To assure Ian that though it was bigger than the average size of either, what he had seen was most certainly not a cat or a raccoon. It was a fucking insect.